Hi, for my game engine, I implemented controller support. This is an important feature because lots of games want to be made for console, which you need controller support, or even just having controller support's nice for if players want to use it, even if it's like a PC game. So last week I had it to a point where one controller will connect and you can detect all the button presses, same way you could with keyboard buttons like on press down, on release if it's down, and also detect all the joystick values. You can get just like quick values like if it's left, right, or you can get the actual like exact XY values so you can determine the exact uh, movement. So for this week, I added the ability to support multiple controllers. So this way you can detect which controller is pressing what. So you could have like two different controllers move two different characters, enabling the ability for like local multiplayer games. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration.
Mission start!
One sec.
Mission start! Mission start! Mission start!
Okay. So if you see this controller moving that character around, you can shoot with this one. Then same time this one will move that controller completely separate of each other. This one can shoot too. Alright, so that's the two different controllers controlling different players. So looking at the code, how I implemented this was you can um I used SDL for this. It has controller input detections. So what I did was you can initialize multiple controllers with special controller IDs. So how I had it before for one controller was I had a map similar to how we did the keyboards, where you just take the key value and map it to the input state. So like if it's down, just up. So I had that, but what I did now is it's a map of maps for the states where you first pass in the controller ID and then it'll give you the map of the states. So how this works on the Lua side is I added when you want to get a controller button, you also have to pass in the ID of the controller up here. So if you have like say three controllers connected, you're gonna have IDs 0, 1, and 2. So now if you want to check if the joystick's pushed up for one controller, you have to make sure you know the ID of that controller. So one example of that in some code is up here. I added an ID value to the component and it passes in its ID when it checks if a controller button is pressed here. So that way it's only checking for the controller that's registered with this um, uh, actor component. So then if you go to the scene, it still works pretty easily. You just, now when you create, I created two instances of that actor, and just the second one, I just overwrite the ID to be the second value for the controller. So now this one will have its own controller and it'll pass in its own value, making it have a completely different controller than the first one. But going back to it, you also to implement this, I you have to keep track of all the joystick values and the two trigger values on the back. So I had to turn these into maps as well. So yeah, you just pass in the um, ID again, and then it gives you the value for the specific controller. And I also made sure that the max controllers is 4, because in most instances that's all you want. But yeah, I think that's all I have for my demonstration. Thank you.